Hello, today I'd like to show you how to use the PV3 Employment Expenses Manager for anyone who is doing use of home expenses for their taxes for the 2020 year and further. I've created a spreadsheet to help people track their expenses. So this is how it works. Once you receive it from myself through email, there's a bunch of different sheets. There's a settings sheet, an expense sheet, a reimbursement sheet, and then your final report that I'll use for your taxes. First sheet is your settings sheet. So there's a couple different areas. First, you want to put in your name. So Bob Bobberson. It's a funny name I came up with. It's 2020 year. If you're using it, this is in the future, and you're doing a different year, you can just change the year, just the first date of the year, and that'll change all the headings. It'll change the dates in all the spreadsheet. If your employer reimburses you for cell phone, you're not allowed. You have to reduce the amount you paid for your cell phone by the amount that they reimburse you. So, if they only give you say $20 a month, but you're paying $70 or $80 a month, you have to deduct that amount. So we want to make sure that there's some reimbursements. I have 3 extra spaces set for you in case you get reimbursed for something else. So you do have those options for reimbursements. The next category is your general expense categories. These expenses here in the blue are the ones that are the official expenses on the forms that the CRA gives. Below are any extra categories that you might want to include that might not be included up top, or individual items you want to track. Below that are your vehicle expenses. If you have the spreadsheet enables you to have 2 different vehicles, so you can change the name here. So let's say you have a Camry, and let's say then you have a Fusion. 2 cars that both owned, both good cars. You change the name of the car here in the vehicle section, and actually it'd be nice for us if you put in what year it is. So if it's 2015 Camry, then let us know what the year is, so that way we can have that for our records. Below that are your use of home expenses. So these are the main categories: heat, hydro, insurance, maintenance, mortgage interest, property taxes, and water heater. I've added telephone and internet, and then you have 2 extra categories that you can include yourself. If it's rare, actually I believe this is, I don't think you can actually write off stuff, but there's assets. If you want to track any assets you purchase, vehicles, computers, stuff like that, anything that's over $500, you would put it in this section because we want it separated out. And let's say you just want to use the spreadsheet to track other things. You've got a whole other non-employment related expenses you can use this to track. And then there's the payment methods. You can add, say a Royal Bank, account. If you want to track how you paid for it, it's not required. You don't need to do that. It's kind of overkill, but it is there in case you need it. You need to set up these categories at the beginning. So set up your categories at the very beginning. And once they're set, leave them alone. You can change ones that you've never used before, the other ones, you can change those categories, but once you start using a category, you can't change the name once you start using it. Now we'll get into how you use these categories, how do you actually track stuff. So here we have different sheets at the bottom. We're going to go to our expense worksheet. Now this is a macro-enabled spreadsheet. So most of you will have a yellow bar that goes atop the screen. It'll ask you to enable the macros. You will need to enable the macros for this spreadsheet to work. There's 1 or 2 macros. The main macro is this add new row button. So let's say you run out of spaces, you can just hit the add new row button and it will give you extra rows. I put in enough extra rows, you probably don't even need it, but if you need it, that's how to do it. Do not right click and insert manually. Do not do that, please. If there are formulas in the background, and it will mess things up. So please don't do that, or else the spreadsheet won't work, and you might not get all the expenses that you meant to claim. So let's say on the first of the month, you have your Rogers bill. That's your cell bill. And check, obviously you can leave that alone. Payment method, you don't have to use that, but this is where, if you want to track how you paid for it, go ahead, be my guest, but it's definitely a little overkill. What's really important is that you get the expense category proper. You need to pull from the drop-down box. Do not type in here. okay? Because what will happen is the information will not flow through to the other parts of the spreadsheet. You must use the drop-down box. So in this case, we'll go to cell phone, and let's say the cell phone was $95. Okay. You do not have to put them individually by month if you don't want. You can put everything into January. You don't have to put it separated month. The month is just for you, for your organizing purposes. If you want to spread it out by months, but for my purposes, you can put the totals for the whole year in January if you want. From there, you can go to the reimbursement worksheet. If you have any reimbursements, you would put them in here. So let's say there's, on the 5th of the month, your boss, actually we're going to hide that, there's no need for an invoice number. It's part of a different spreadsheet. Okay, so let's say here we can say, actually I wouldn't even put a note in there, but you can put reimbursement. It's for your own, the notes are for your own benefit. But again, this box here is very important. You want to use the drop-down box in the income category column. You want to use the reimbursement. So if you could hit whatever you're being reimbursed for, you want to have that category, and then you want to put an amount. So let's say you're reimbursed $50. You put that there. So again, expenses go in the expense worksheet, reimbursements go in the reimbursement worksheet, and your final result will be your report. So as we put in the $50 for the cell phone, and we put in the $95 for the cell phone expense, and that will relay the information to me once you send the spreadsheet back to me, and I can use these amounts for your taxes. And you'll see all the categories here. So you see your report, you've got your reimbursements, minus all of your expenses, your 100% expenses, and then you have your prorated vehicles. So vehicle number 2 is hidden, because most people don't usually use 2 vehicles. But if you want to see it, you can hover over the 47, click, hold the button, pull down, right click and go unhide, and that'll give you your second vehicle. And then there's your use of home. Most people, this is the section that's most important for employment expenses. This, most people use, I should say, is your use of home expenses. And finally, if you buy any assets, you can have that. So there's sections for each type of purchase, and that relays the information we need to do your taxes. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you're able to work with the spreadsheet and enjoy it. So thank you very much.